Americans 75 years and older will be next in line to get that vaccine, along with those essential workers that are on the front lines, not in hospitals, not in doctors' offices, like firefighters, policemen, teachers, etc. So I'm Andrew Kraft. We want to thank everyone for joining News Now. We have about 2 hours left of live coverage tonight. Remember, we have extended live coverage now on the weekdays, going to 1 a.m. Eastern, picking back up the next day at 6 a.m. Eastern in our East Coast newsroom out of Orlando, Florida. So right now, we did want to just play for you this Twitter video that President Trump issued from his Twitter account, basically decrying the COVID relief stimulus package that was passed in the House and the Senate last night. He's not happy with it, and he wants to amend it. So we're going to get reaction after that. I'm going to break it all down and what this means going forward into this Christmas holiday. So here's that video right now.
Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment. $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan. $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business. $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition. Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package And maybe that administration will be me, and we will get it done. Thank you very much.
All right, well, that was President Trump's about 4-minute long Twitter video there. I just want to break that down for those of you who might be watching at the moment. So as you know, the president's not happy with it. He wanted the direct stimulus payments to be more. He even said $2,000. As it stands, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi negotiated for $600 to those Americans making less than $75,000 a year. He's asking Congress to essentially amend this bill, this COVID relief package that the House and the Senate passed last night. You know, this is according to Fox's own Chad Pergram, the congressional correspondent for Fox News, saying the president, didn't outright say he'll veto this bill from last night, but he very well could prevent it from becoming law in this procedural maneuver called a pocket vetoes. They're very rare. Congress has to be in the proper, posture for this possibility to be into play. That's made even more difficult because there are 3 days left until Christmas. We're just getting reports that President Trump and First Lady Melania are traveling to Florida tomorrow. They're going down to Mar-a-Lago for the Christmas holiday. And essentially, this can't be done. This can't be amended to what was passed last night. Congress, if they so choose to do that and up this direct stimulus payments to $2,000, they're going to have to pass a standalone measure by itself. And surprisingly, you're getting support on both sides of the aisle from that idea. So here you just saw Nancy Pelosi. She retweeted the video and quote tweeted saying, Republicans repeatedly refused to say what amount the president wanted for direct checks. At last, the president has agreed to $2,000. Democrats are ready to bring this to the floor this week by unanimous consent. Let's do it. She's very enthusiastic there about working with the president. Remember, the president has essentially been very absent from these negotiations and these discussions, essentially tweeting kind of his wish list of items to be included in this. Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and the Treasury Secretary Mnuchin did most of the heavy lifting on this package. And so right now we're seeing that the president clearly not very happy with it. We're getting reaction as well from the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who is saying that we spent months trying to secure $2,000 checks, but GOPers blocked it. Trump needs to sign the bill to help people and keep the government open, and we're glad to pass more as Americans need. Maybe Trump can finally make himself useful and get GOPers to not block it again. So that was the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, but we're also getting reaction from one of the president's staunchest allies in the Senate. That's Lindsey Graham, the chair of the powerful Judiciary Committee in the Senate. He agrees with the $2,000 direct stimulus payment, saying, quote, in a tweet, appreciate the fact that Speaker Pelosi supports President Trump's idea to increase direct payments to $2,000 per person. The American people are hurting and deserve relief. I know there is much bipartisan support for this idea. Let's go further. So you heard from the president there. He said essentially no one in Congress has read this 5,000-plus page bill that they passed last night. Remember, that includes both the coronavirus relief package and the entire government funding package that lasts till next September, that $1.4 trillion number of funding measures, in which he rattled off a number of them and he termed them wasteful spending. A lot of this money to foreign countries in the aspect of foreign aid to a lot of performing arts venues and museums, including the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts and the Smithsonian Institution, to which Donald Trump, the president, said these places are not even open because of the pandemic. And he essentially said this is all wasteful spending, and he asked Congress to amend these aspects of the bill that he does not like, kind of coming at the very last minute, the 11th hour here, after the Senate and the House passed that last night. We brought that to you here on NewsNOW from Fox. The president weighing in this video tonight. saying he's not happy with what's been put forward. So there are some reports right now from Democratic aides and Democratic sources to Fox that there could be talks of a standalone separate bill to include the $2,000 of direct stimulus payments. We'll see if that gains any traction. But as it stands right now, you can't amend what was passed last night. Either the president can sign it or he cannot. He has not signed it yet. And so we're trying to avert government funding running out. So the only way to get around this is to pass a standalone bill with that $2,000 number in direct payments to Americans. So, you know, the president didn't say he would veto it. He didn't use that word. But in all indications, it's looking like he wants to if these changes are not made at the moment. So that's kind of the breakdown there on COVID relief. We're glad we could bring that to you on News Now. And the president and the first lady off to Mar-a-Lago tomorrow to West Palm Beach, Florida for the Christmas holiday. I'm Andrew Kraft. I want to thank everyone for watching News.